Well, good day, everybody. This is Chris with the Ancient Skull. I hope this video finds you doing well. I just got back home. Basically did just drove through the night to get back home. Just came back from the last mountain bike endurance race of the season and the year, for that matter. It's a 12-hour race over in Phoenix, Arizona that I've been doing for the last couple of years, and this is one of the few endurance races that I do on a team. I normally do solo racing. Pretty much all the most of the races in New Mexico are solo, that I do solo, but this was a co-ed team, and we had a good time. We placed 7th. Our team placed 7th out of couple of dozen, just over 2 dozen teams in the team of 4 co-ed category that I was a part of. So I think we did pretty decent, put in a good showing. The course is well, it's not in Phoenix proper, but it's just northeast of Phoenix in an area called McDowell Mountain, which is 10-15 minutes north of the Fountain Hills area of Phoenix, if you kind of know that Phoenix at all. That's a big area for mountain biking and hiking and camping, McDowell Mountain. And there is a race course there in the lower portion of McDowell Mountain. It's a very quintessential cross-country course that they have for this race, which is to say that it's pretty buffed. It's not particularly technical, incredibly fast and flowy. So it's a very accessible race loop, and it's just over 16 miles per lap, and just about 1,000 feet of climbing per lap. And the way that it works is teams, at least, it's a 4-person team, and then we run laps. And after each lap, you relay, and then you swap out with the next person. What I ended up doing was I ended up doing 2 consecutive laps, one after another. And so I did 2 laps, and then so what happens is the first 2 people in the team did 1 lap each. Then I went out, I did 2 laps, and then the 4th person went out and did 2 laps. And then the 2 that started went back into the rotation and did another lap. So everybody ended up doing 2 laps. That's 8 laps total. And then we had just enough time for me to go out and do a 3rd lap. So I ended up doing 3 laps. And my 3rd lap, interestingly enough, at the end of the day, was the fastest. It's one of the fastest laps that I've ever done at this race. Which was about an hour 11 minutes. So that's, that just gives you some idea of just how fast and flowy this trail is, where, a guy in his mid-40s is riding 16 miles on a mountain bike, 26, 27-pound mountain bike in an hour 10, hour 11 minutes, so just screaming fast. It's really cool. Started at sunset, the sun went down, and I came back in and still had about half an hour before the race ended at 7. So it was a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. race. So it was really cool, almost a repeat of last year, where I did 3 laps last year as well, and did the sunset lap. So really nice way to end the race season with good people, good time. The weather is a lot better over there than it is where we're at home here, where it's just absolutely freezing. It was pretty cool in Phoenix for Phoenix standards. It was in the mid 40s when we started the race, and then it got up into the 60s, some 20-mile-an-hour winds, so it was a pretty windy race day. And then it was back down into the low 50s, upper 40s by the time I finished at 6:30 in the evening. But all that aside, the point of this video is actually to talk or to update you on my experience with the Pixel 8. And I just think I owe this to anyone who has watched my videos and taken anything from them regarding the Google Pixel 8. And unfortunately, I don't have great news. I am now beginning to run into some problems with the phone, and I really ran into some substantial issues out at the race. I was really liking this phone so much, I was actually considering making this my primary, my daily driver instead of the iPhone. And so I thought I would take this out to the race with me, and I use an application called Strava. It's big for cyclists. It tracks your rides and gives you various data and analytics about elevation gain, time moving, things of that nature. And so I thought I would use Strava to track my race. And first thing in the morning, I got up and did some warm-up. I did about 12 minutes of warming up just to get everything's warmed up and ready to go. And in that 12-minute time period, the application Strava would crash on this phone, just quit working. And so what I did is I kept Strava open and literally had Strava open where I could see it working, and I literally saw it crash, right before my eyes. It would just completely crash. And then I'd reopen and it'd say it's recovered from a problem, and I essentially lost all the data. Now, luckily I was not using this during the race, but Strava is so remarkably unreliable on this phone. I don't feel it is completely unusable, and that is a huge part of what I do, is using Strava. And so I have a phone that can't run an application that is a big part of my life. And I don't know if it is not optimized, if Strava is not optimized. I have had Strava crash on iPhones in the past, but no contemporary. The last 3 iPhones I've had, the contemporary iPhones, have not seen Strava crash. So that was a really substantial issue that I don't know if it's the app or it's the operating system or something to do with the underpowered Tensor chip in these, or maybe the RAM. I think this is 8 gigabytes of RAM. It's not well optimized. I don't know, but I can't use a phone as a daily driver if I don't have the ability to reliably use Strava. And I also have some GPS applications. Gaia GPS is a big one that I use as well, and I don't feel comfortable using that on the Pixel. Another issue that I ran into yesterday, interestingly enough, was the camera on the Pixel began to stutter, and it would sometimes 5, 10, 15 seconds between trying to take pictures. It's just like everything would lock up and slow down. And I noticed that out there at McDowell, the cell service was really spotty, so it was kind of intermittent. And it seems like if I don't have good, reliable internet access on the Pixel, a lot of the features of the phone, and I suspect this is due to the artificial intelligence that I presume some of it is on device, but I think that maybe a lot of what happens with the Google and the Pixel 8 and the things that it does is actually it sends information to Google servers, and it is actually processed off phone. And when you actually have the phone without access to the internet, the phone is actually having to do heavy lifting of some of these activities, like taking photos and videos and running applications, that it becomes overwhelmed and its weaknesses become very prevalent. That's my suspicion. I don't know. Maybe it's just lacking in software optimization. At this point, I don't really know. But at some point, when you start having so many problems, and when do you stop attributing to that to optimization and perhaps consider the possibility that there is a flaw in the phone design itself. So I have to admit that that might be the issue. And unfortunately, I no longer feel confident that I can use this as a daily driver, which is really sad, because I really like this phone and I really want to like it, and I really want to use it over the iPhone, just because it does offer a different, more customizable, kind of a fun experience. But the iPhone is incredibly reliable. I did 2 back-to-back laps, so close to 3 hours of tracking during the race. No problems at all. Never had any crashes on the iPhone. Strava worked perfectly. I didn't have data access, so it just saved all that data locally, and then I was able to upload it to Strava servers when I had reliable access later on. I didn't lose anything. And then I ran the 3rd lap, same thing, right? So it's not something going on with Strava. It was not a problem with Strava that day, because Strava worked just fine on the iPhone, and I couldn't get it to run on the Pixel 8, in addition to built-in applications like I talked about earlier with the camera, locking up, stuttering, sometimes just completely locking the whole phone up for 10, 15, 20 seconds sometimes. So unfortunately, it does seem like there might be some problems with the Pixel 8, and I really hope that it is just a software issue and an optimization issue. But I would be remiss if I didn't report coming into contact with some of these issues, and unfortunately, I don't feel like I can use the Pixel 8 as my daily driver in lieu of the iPhone 15 at this point. So I'm sorry to report that, but I think that is the most honest thing I can do at this point. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.